Cambridge. Welcome to What's That About, where we answer all your questions about the pressing issues of the day, brought to you by CCTV.
CCTV, Phase 2 of Total World Domination has begun.
Did I miss phase one?
Of course, Julie. Phase 1 was lulling everyone to sleep with a false sense of security. It worked perfectly.
Okay, then. Well, our first question comes from Mark on Pleasant Street. Mark asks, last month you covered the attempts by the noble and great-looking City Council to get commercial landlords to answer for all the vacant property in Harvard Square.
Thanks for watching, Mark.
But now I read that the city had to pay a huge settlement to scofflaw landlords at Vale Court in Central Square after the city tried to take the land by eminent domain. Is there anything our great and noble city council can do to tackle the problem of owners sitting on vacant properties?
Sheesh. What did Yogi the Bear say? Cambridge is getting too popular. No one can afford to rent there anymore.
Don't you mean Yogi Berra?
No, the picnic basket guy. Is Vale Court that grass-strewn lot on Bishop Allen Drive right in the heart of Central Square?
It sure is. At the time the city repossessed the property from the Abuzara family, it consisted of a derelict and boarded up 24-unit apartment building caught up in years of lawsuits amongst the family.
So the city sounds like it was absolutely right to take the property for fair market value. Why is it still vacant? We're talking a very accessible area next to a tea stop, grocery store, and all the other wonders of Central Square like 1369, the Cantab, and Phoenix Landing.
Well, that's what the council thought way back in 2014. Seeing all that wasted potential housing, they started exploring legally taking over the land by eminent domain with the city's lawyers. Finally, in 2016, they paid the family what the lawyers calculated as fair market value of $3.6 million with the intent of turning it into affordable housing.
I mean, that also seems like a sensible and fair way to take care of the problem. They should do that with all the other big empty spaces, like the old AMC Theater owned by G.K. Chan in Harvard Square. It's been vacant forever.
Slow your roll there, Max, because right after the city knocked down the vacant buildings on Vale Court, a lawsuit from the Abuzara family ground progress to a halt, keeping the property fallow for 10 years.
10 years, man! 10 years! 10 years!
10 years!
Yes, in fact, only this July, the city finally announced a payoff, or legal settlement, with the Abuzara family for an additional $4.3 million. So maybe, at last, Cambridge can finally start building the affordable housing that was promised years ago.
Sometimes I wonder if it was the right decision to grant all this power to sociopathic capitalists. Are we doomed to let landlords and billionaires destroy the culture of the city so they can amass even more personal wealth at our expense?
Don't lose hope, Max. Cambridge still has smart people working on this, and other cities have been able to lessen the problem with solutions like a split rate tax. We could try that here, too.
You're right, Julie, and I just happened to speak to a proponent of the split rate tax, City Council candidate Dana Bullister. She's a data scientist and public policy researcher who discussed with me her plan to tackle vacant commercial properties.
So my proposal is a split rate tax. And what that basically means is that instead of the current system where we're taxing based on assessed value of a property, which right now includes in part the value of the land, but also the value of the buildings and amenities and other property that sits on that land, right? So right now that assessed value is this combination of both the land value and the building value. So what I'm proposing is something that's already been tried out in different cities, including two in Pennsylvania, but you basically create a system where the rate that you tax the land can be different from the rate that you tax the buildings and amenities. You're penalized for keeping land unused, especially if it's in a very high value area.
This type of property tax system is already in place in Pennsylvania cities like Allentown and Harrisburg, where it's been wildly successful. In Harrisburg, the number of vacant structures declined from 4,200 to 500 over 2 decades. When voters in Allentown approved the split rate tax, 70% of residents saw a tax decrease, especially on their relatively smaller properties. And the city saw an increase in building permits by 32%.
So they're not closing all the factories down in Allentown anymore. Sweet.
No, Billy Joel. As Dana said, the financial impact of the split rate tax could be used to spur landlords of valuable properties like G.K. Chan to finally find tenants. By forcing landlords to pay what the value of their land is actually worth while decreasing the value of building improvements and renovations, it incentivizes use over land speculation.
This all sounds like a no-brainer. Penalizing vacant commercial properties while making them easier to fix up and lowering most residential taxes? Let's do it yesterday. What's stopping Cambridge?
First, you would need to get a majority of the council to support it. Right now, it's not clear that they do.
Call your counselors, people.
But the other issue is that any change in local tax policy in Massachusetts has to be approved by the state legislature via something called a home rule petition.
Boo. As we know, it's almost impossible to get anything through Beacon Hill. They're one of the least effective legislatures in history. Last year, they were 50th out of 50 in passing new laws, and this year they've only passed 17 laws in nearly 8 months.
Yeah, they're pretty bad at legislating on even popular issues like the environment. But on home rule petitions, the legislature is even worse. Cambridge has been unable to get other no-brainer steps through the state legislature, like a real estate transfer tax.
That's because Beacon Hill is a semi-opaque, corrupt hellhole where powerful groups like the real estate lobby can buy off leadership to ground sensible bills to a halt.
Right, but all hope is not lost. As we just covered on the show with the successful passing of real transparency measures in the new Joint Committee rules, when the legislature feels enough pressure from the people, they can be forced to do the right thing.
True, I never thought we'd see Beacon Hill committee votes being made public. We did that.
But the first step to a split rate tax is getting the council to submit a home rule petition. So supporters should focus their efforts locally to persuade the council to take this up.
Oh, and there just happens to be a new city council election this year. Also, there's guaranteed to be at least one new council member now that brothel enthusiast Paul F. Toner is no longer running.
Right, that's part of the reason we're going to be doing special coverage of the council election this fall, including interviews with many of the challengers running for a seat.
In fact, our full interview with challenger Dana Bullister is already up on the show's webpage here. We talk about all the important local issues and why she's running for city council. And watch this space for other interviews, people.
And don't forget to vote this November. Until next week, we'll see you first.
first.